Because ultimately it comes down to, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And by happy, I mean not just like feeling good all the time. I mean having the types of relationships with women that you want, having the life overall that you want, right? And I think it's very tricky for some guys, especially if they've been successful in let's say in their careers, where with enough force, with enough controlling, you actually can get to a place where you feel like, all right, look, shit is working for me. Like, this is quote unquote what success is like according to society. I make a lot of money. This is what women want. And so to then give that up, really fucking difficult. All right, super quick before we dive into today's content. If you are looking to become a truly high value man, if you want to become the best version of yourself as a man, the highest potential you can possibly reach in this human form, and you also want to have amazing relationships with other people, with women in particular, if you want to learn how to have thriving, healthy, passionate, deeply fulfilling relationships, then don't forget to subscribe below this video, hit the notification bell so that whenever we post a new video, you will directly be notified. And also like this content if you enjoy it, right? If this resonates with you. And then don't forget to leave a comment, anything that you find valuable, anything you want to share from your own personal experience, post it below the video and I'll be sure to check it out and respond to you. And then lastly, we do have an exclusive Facebook group, which is also linked somewhere below this video. Go check it out, join the Facebook group. I'll be doing exclusive live calls on there where I'll be sharing some of the most transformational tools that have helped me on my journey, that have helped Leo on his journey, and obviously a lot more stuff that I'll be discovering, that I'll be sharing with you only inside the Facebook group. So without further ado, enjoy, and I'll see you there. Peace. All right. We're back with another episode, and today we're going to be discussing why your coach, your mentor, or your guru will never live up to your expectations. And I think it's a very interesting topic because we've both experienced that with different clients before, or potential clients that were looking to get their expectations met in the quote unquote in their guide and their coach when they came to us. And ultimately, it really set them up for a lot of disappointment. And it would be interesting to hear why you think it may not be beneficial, or even what the intentions are behind someone who comes to us with strong expectations, and why it ultimately is not going to be helpful for their own journey, like where they're truly wanting to go.
This is one of the juiciest topics, I think, that we bring to here. Because going straight forward to the answer, I think the guy that has this idea that there will be someone that will fix all his problems, or that there is someone that is living what he has in his head as the reality of where he wants to achieve, or where he wants to go and what he wants to achieve, that will never allow this guy to truly get to the place that he wants. Because the idea that first someone will just give you a few tips and fix all your problems, that's a big mistake. And that's a big mistake that we can see, well, we have been talking about that in many episodes before. And that can go even for relationships, that you think that a relationship will fix or whatever it is. So just the concept itself, when we talk about relationships, we talk about that. We talk about, okay, the relationship is not going to fix your things. The relationship is not going to give you the shit that you think it's going to give you. And that's the same thing. What we are allowed to do is to guide you, to show you where to go. But a lot of people, they would, and that's why, for example, having a bunch of infields, let's say, of guys going into the street and doing stuff and showing off, and which is already like a small fraction of their life, because of course they're going to show the highlights, the best things, to lure you in to get into the coaching. Just that itself, the fact that this is one of the strongest things that bring guys to this kind of coaching, is already showing that they are going there to learn how to be like that person. So a few things that they don't realize. It's first, that person has many problems. Maybe not the same problems as you have, different ones. And maybe for him to be in that specific position, let's say a PUA coach, he has to give up other stuff like not caring too much about other people, not caring too much about relationships, or being just an asshole to other people, to his friends, not having friends. There are many things that we don't know that that person has to go through to show some aspect of his life. And then what you see is that the guys go to this coaching, and this is from a personal experience, seeing guys coming to many of the coaches that we worked before, and they're like, oh, now after spending this amount of time with this guy, I can clearly see that he's not what he looks like or what he shows. But based on what? Based on our own idea of what he should do and how he should behave and what he should do. Of course, we can go now, okay, but how can we actually guide someone, and how can, we help them to get to that point? But this idea that your coach will live up to your expectations of who he is one of the things that is in the way of getting where you want to get.
I mean, there's so many amazing things in there that you just said, and I think to highlight some of them, there's one, the strong idea that there's a right and a wrong way in the first place, and we want to get it right. So we want the guy to tell us exactly this is what we need to do, and then we get it right. So that's one thing. The other one is really talking about taking full responsibility and ownership for our own life. Do we want to go to someone and then that person tells us, here, follow A to Z, and then you're set for life? Is that really what this is all about? Right? And then the third one is coming back to the whole concept of uncertainty and the unknown. It's like we come into this, or some clients come to us or going to other coaches, and we go into it with this sense of, I have an idea of what I want. This is my belief system, like all my conditioning. And with that, I'm going to gauge, I'm going to evaluate if what I'm getting in return here with this person is worth it. So I'm going in from something that is known, and then I try to venture into the unknown, which means there's inevitably a discrepancy between what the coach is going to give you and between what you think you're going to get. So ultimately, right, it's the moments where we then get into these, let's just call them coaching situations. It's actually when we get confronted with the stuff that we don't want to hear, that actually is usually a sign that something is working, something is moving in a different direction. And everybody who's watching this right now, you can ask yourself, like, how long has this been a problem for you? This particular issue, right? Like, could be different coaches that you went to, but let's just say with women really wanting to master your dating life, how long has this been a pain point for you? How many different coaches have you talked to? How many different things have you tried? And where are you now? Has anything shifted? And now actually look at the way you went into these situations and see, was there a specific expectation that you had? Was there a specific way of you trying to gauge whether that is a good fit for you, this type of coach? And it's impossible not to, because that's how we operate. Like, we go into it, we're seeking a change, we're trying to find a solution. So with the information that we have, we're trying to find that solution. And then we measure it against, what is this coach offering to me? Is this the right thing? Is this going to get me there? And then we usually sign up. And that's why a big topic for us is always the moving into the unknown and the surrendering to new stuff, to information that we cannot even possibly conceive beforehand. That's why it's so important to gradually take apart this strong belief system, or this, not just belief system, the conditioning that we have, this web that gives us this sense of safety. We have to get away from that, because otherwise we'll never open ourselves up to truly taking in something new. And that, to me, is the only way something can really shift. And I've said this before, I think a big part that contributed to where I am now is that I was never afraid to fuck things up, to really look stupid, to look dumb, to buy into it fully, but also to put my own stuff aside, whatever I have learned up to this point, as much as I could, and be like, let me put this on pause. This seems like it resonates with me on some level. I can't really tell why, but let me go explore that. And I think that served me really well. And in a bit, like a little bit later in the call today, I want to share kind of what I or what we believe is a sign of progress, then really a sign of progress with this work that we're offering right now. But does any of what I'm saying resonate with you?
Yeah, especially when you're talking about this letting go, these strong beliefs that you have in relation to what do you think is the thing that you need? That would be the first one. And what do you think the other person is able to give? And it's almost like you want to learn that you already know that you want to learn. So how can you improve if you're expecting to receive that thing that you have in your head? And also the comparison, this is also a big one. Like kind of, oh, you are telling me this, but are you able to do that? Are you able to do that? Kind of like almost like some kind of game where it's like, okay, so now let's compete. You are the coach, so go do it. Show me that you never get rejected, or show that whatever it is. And it's just a bunch of like preconceived ideas that you're just trying to mimic and repeat. And is not going to lead you anywhere if you come from this perspective of wanting that people to mold into what you think is the right thing. Because then you are not learning. Then you are just using, well, first your money and your time to re-see or re-experience things that you already created. And like it's for us, well, I'll put us, like me and you, on this, but you can put yourself out if you want. It's easy to perform, you know? It's like, I'll be with a group of friends, I want to perform, I want to go and say hi to this particular person that everyone is like, oh, no one can do that. You know, like when you have this kind of friends that is outside of the realm of meeting people other than online, and then you go and talk to someone in the street and everyone's like, oh my God, this guy. It doesn't even matter if you got rejected or not. It's just like this big thing. And it's like, I can't perform that. You know, if a student wants me to just perform and pretend that I'm in flow all the time and that I'm going to be able to talk to everyone and not feel fear and whatever it is, yeah, we can do that. But how is that pushing you towards the real change, towards the real goal? That is teaching you to come to a workshop, let's say. You go for a full week where you feel great, you flow, everything's nice. You come back home, it's the same shit. Go back to watching YouTube. Go back to watching porn. Go back to signing up for new coaches, new workshops, and then just say, yeah, this coach is bad. Yeah, this coach doesn't live up to what he says. That doesn't, you know, it doesn't push for the real thing, for the real work that needs to be done. And that's why a good coach is not that person that have all the knowledge, but is also the one that can communicate and can clearly open the student to receive the information, and he can see those things. So I've been to workshops, let's say, where the main coach, he would receive a guy and the guy would say like, oh yeah, today I don't feel like talking because I'm more concerned about my internal things. Let's work on internal work. And I could see it. That guy is so afraid right now that he really wants to not go do this exercise or whatever it is. So he's trying to find an excuse. And the coach couldn't see it, which is okay. Like not you don't see it all the time, especially if you have a big group of people to take care. And that guy is lying to himself. He knows. He knows that he's afraid. But either way, he prefers to just, yeah, to just create an excuse to not do that thing. And then he spends all this money and then he comes back home and it's like, yeah, that coach, he didn't teach me the things that I thought he was going to teach me.
And I think that's the trap really that we get into then. It's we're looking just for a confirmation from the coach. Like we use them to confirm our already existing worldview and the belief systems that we have. And then we say if a coach lives up to that and he gives us exactly what we already want, then we say this is a great coach. But what's really important then is to see how has that impacted my life in the long run? Has anything really changed? Or am I just saying that's a good coach because he just reaffirmed what I already wanted to see? And in most cases, if your coach doesn't disagree with you, then something is off. Because why would you go to a coach in the first place if you could already see the things if they were correct? Like, then there would be no need. Then you would have the awareness. Like, what's the point of going to a coach? So it's really, we want someone who can point out all the stuff, who's not afraid to say, well, listen, I can, like, who can empathize with the situation and find a way to navigate it so you can see, but then also bring you to a point where it's really like you maybe have to make a decision and say, like, is this almost like showing you that the way you were coming into it is not actually helping you to the place where you can see that yourself. And I do want to talk a little bit more of what I said earlier. Like, there is no right and wrong way. Like, that's why we both say, like, a coach, to me, let's speak for myself, a coach is not someone, like, what is a coach there for? In reality, we still have to bump into a lot of walls. We have to run our head into a ton of walls, even if you have a coach. He cannot avoid that. So what we try to do is we try to avoid the pain. But ultimately, no matter which coach you find, they cannot take that away. Because I said that before too, there's experiences there are things that you want, there are things that you need, and there are things that are required. And a lot of this stuff is required. So we cannot avoid that. That's why it's there for. Right? So a coach really can only speak for himself wherever he's at on his journey and say, look, I've been where you are, so I can share my perspective on being on the other side of this now. But that doesn't mean I have to be all the way through and I'll never make a mistake again. Right? And the biggest thing, and this is kind of what I wanted to share that I told you last time at the end of our call, I felt still with my clients sometimes this need to almost like perform or almost feel like I need to look perfect because that's what they expect. That's the image they have of me, some of them. And then that actually gets away from the real thing, the thing that really matters, which is with this work that we're doing, it's not about everything is peachy right away. There's stuff that's going to come up that's going to shake you up, and not just once, multiple times out of nowhere. And then you feel really uncomfortable. You just feel really shitty in your body. And that's the stuff I actually want to share with you guys. That's the stuff that shows what I'm doing is actually working. Because the work is not about let me feel good right away. We have to first like clean up all the shit that's in there that we've been putting away, shoving away our entire life. The only thing that sets us free if we actually move through that stuff, we have to get into the mud, get really fucking dirty. And that frees us up ultimately. So those are the things I should actually be sharing much more with you guys. The things where I'm struggling, where I'm being overwhelmed, where I'm fucking, like not fucking up even, where I'm feeling I want to escape the discomfort. That's the stuff that really shows you like, first of all, look, I'm human. And the thing that you're trying to attain, that doesn't mean you have to be like perfect at the end. If your goal is to be good with women, like you can, like I meet women now almost on a daily basis. I just need to go on a walk. And then I can get a date. Like that's the process. That doesn't mean I'm gonna feel like a fucking $1,000,000 every day, all the time. Sometimes I do. But even in the interactions I don't, they still lead somewhere. Because what's much more important is that we're being authentic, that we're being real in that moment. We don't have to perform. We don't have to learn the lines. We don't have to do all this stuff. We can feel exactly what's going on and still get those quote unquote results. We can still meet those women that want to meet us. And the cool thing is we realize the women actually appreciate us more for it if they see, look, he's not trying to be something he's not. He's exactly where he's at. He's going through this. He's transparent about it. And that makes him even more attractive.
Yeah, I think in the end, we just want to play. We just want to be able to fully play and not care about all these other things. And it's not a technique. It's not something that, well, there are many things that I heard from coaches that regularly I remember like, oh, that was really interesting. That had an impact, you know. It's not to say that the coach is not going to have an impact in your life. He's going to, you know. That's why we're here. That's why we charge for it. That's why, you know, there is a set of things that we think are useful, but those are not things that will first lead you to this point, and second, that are going to be easy. So when you talked about, oh yeah, we try to find a coach to avoid the pain of going through certain things, I would even dare to say that if you find a good one, you're going to suffer even more. Because that's when you're really going to uncover the things that you need to uncover, the places that you need to go. And you're not going to understand, and it's fine. I didn't understand this shit for so many years. I would hear it, it would make sense to me, but nothing would change. It just nothing changes. And then I would just give up. It's like, no, fuck this shit. I don't care about this anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Let's live my life. And then all of a sudden, oh, now it makes completely sense out of nowhere. I was not even expecting for this shit to happen. And it's the path, you know, and we are here not to give you the answers, but to guide you and to help you get there. Because for you to be super aware of the things that you are not aware in the first place, it's almost impossible coming from this perspective. That's why like every coach has a coach. Everyone has someone to go through to help and to be able to see things that you can't see yourself. That's why I think it's important, first, to realize that the coach is not going to be able to give all the answers. It requires a lot of work from your part. So this is one of the important things to know. Second thing is that your coach, he's also going through his own shit. He's also learning. He's also developing himself. There's no point where it's like, okay, I'm here, I'm God. Now I just teach everyone and I use my words to, you know, spread this and whatever. It's like there's no such place. And if you think there is someone in this place, it's because you are again projecting your views onto someone, thinking that that guy must get all of the girls, that guy must have this amazing relationship, that guy like this, that guy like that. And then you meet him, he's like smoking weed every day, he doesn't go out, he pays for hookers all the time. You know, that happens. That happened in the past. To learn this stuff from a few coaches. And the thing is that we need to come back and take responsibility. We need to really take responsibility for the things that we want to achieve, for the work that needs to be done, and don't expect other people to give us that. Meaning, even if you don't come for a coaching session, it's fine. But don't expect the next YouTube video to give the answers. It's not going to give you. It's not going to.
And I think that is a huge part, this proactive element that I've seen in myself. And I'm kind of comparing here, like what I've done and how I've been operating. And I think also the way you've been operating. Like, even if I pay a coach $200, $300 for a coaching session, I'm still extremely grateful afterwards. Like, it doesn't feel to me, okay, so I gave you $300, now give me all the answers, give me exactly what I need right now, and then I'm good. Right? There is this element of like, I need to put something in there too. Like, I want to be as proactive as I can be. And that really shows where someone is truly committed, if someone is truly taking responsibility for the quality of their experience, or if they just want someone to take away the burden, if they just want someone to give them the answer so they can have it easy again. And again, I've said this before multiple times, but it is required for me to reinforce this. It's not about feeling good or easy right away. The problem is, most of us, we live our life where 99% of what we're doing is always looking for the easy now. Everything has become a means to an end. And that means to an end, or the end for us, is to feel good, to feel better, to feel we are improving, etc. That's what we call we're actually getting somewhere. And that's how we're setting up our life, whether it's career-wise, whether it's with friends. Like, if you look at your life right now, pretty much 99.9% of things you're doing is probably done as a means to an end. And that is to feel good. But the only way to feel good is by actually going into the trenches and going through the shit that's really there, that is not comfortable to look at. So no matter what, a coach that you find who is really good, he will take you to these places where everything inside of you will tell you, get the fuck back, let's get out of here, like, I don't want to be here. Like, it's the last place you want to be in. And it's important to recognize that is actually the place where growth is going to happen. That is the place that is unknown to you. That is the stuff that most people will run away from their entire life. Now, if you actually want to change the quality of your experience, then that is exactly the place where this is happening. when there's no real clear way that you can make out, when you don't know where the fuck you're going, when you're completely in the dark, that's when shit starts to happen. So we really have to take ourselves out of the way. And this is like our own conditioning, our own belief systems. When we come in with these preconceived notions, that's the stuff that gets in the way of real growth. And a client recently asked me, he's like, why does change not happen overnight? This is why. If you could just move yourself out of the way, then things would like happen like this. Right? And one thing I would disagree though, there is, okay, so there's a caveat to what I'm going to say now. I would say there are people, I would say there's one person that I know of right now that has seen, that understands life on such a deep level, like the deepest level you can possibly understand it at. But that is, I would say, an exception at this point. And I also, here's the caveat, we don't necessarily, it doesn't mean we need to go to a person who has seen it all in order to advance. We don't need to go to the person who has figured it all out. Like you said, Leo, like each coach, they're also working on something else though. And frankly, that has been for me a big impediment or obstacle where I felt, because I wanted to be certain that the content that I'm putting out, the information that I'm giving you guys watching this, that is so holistic that it really encompasses everything, that I'm not leading you into another dead end. And that to me was like, it was so difficult to the point even where I said, maybe I just need to put everything on pause and just go explore on my own until I really have that depth of like going all the way, if you will. And then I can come back and then I can lead you through these things. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a prerequisite. If someone has been, and this comes back to awareness, if someone can see more than you, listen to that person. See where it takes you. Put your own stuff aside and see what actually comes up for you.
Yeah, surrendering, I think that's important. There's a reason why you chose to follow that specific coach. There's a reason why you were there. And like you said, there will be a lot of people that in that moment where they feel threatened by what the coach is doing, what the coach is saying, is when they are going to start to be defensive and they're going to try to protect themselves. And I understand why it's like, and this usually happens with guys that are successful, they are older, and they have like some kind of power in their career or something like that, because they created really high ideas of their lives and the things that they wanted to pursue. I'm generalizing here, but this is what I saw in a lot of the most difficult clients, let's say. And then they would create specific laws for the reason why things are like this, and the reason why they need to hustle or they need to suffer to get to the point that they have to, and they will push other things aside. So it's like when you tell them that there's another way to do things, there's another way to go about life and to go about everything, it makes them feel like they wasted their lives. It makes them feel like, oh, what you were saying is completely the opposite that I've experienced for these 40 years of my life, the things that led me to this point. And for me to look at this and agree with that, it means that for the past 40 years, everything that I was pushing aside because I didn't thought were true, is actually true. And that means that I'm wasting my life. That's a wrong perspective, but we don't need to go into the perspective itself. But it's just like this idea that you created a really strong attachment to certain things, and it's so strong that you feel that your life or your whole life, your personality, everything that you created around that is going to crumble by you accepting that you might have been wrong. And that goes especially for the ideas of, oh, girls are like this, girls are like that, girls want this, girls just want that. It's like the guy that he thinks that girls just want money and he works his whole life till he's 50 to make a lot of money. And then how he's going to just say, nah, actually they don't. How does that even work? It's, like there is a strong attachment there. But then what I always come back to is, okay, do you want to hold on to this idea and just keep things the way they are? Or you just want to try for a week, for 2 weeks, whatever it is, listen to me, let's try it, let's see how it goes. Forget about the past, forget about what you think is going to happen in the future. Come back here. In this moment that we are now here, you're sitting here, you're fitting your feet in the floor, we are talking, you're listening to my voice. In this moment, right here, let's make this decision together that we are going to, together, try to explore different ideas and try to explore different ways of going about this problem.
Yeah, and for that, we do need to, like you said, we need to let our guard down. Because ultimately, it comes down to, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? And by happy, I mean not just like feeling good all the time. I mean having the types of relationships with women that you want, having the life overall that you want, right? And I think it's very tricky for some guys, especially if they've been successful in let's say, in their careers, where with enough force, with enough controlling, you actually can get to a place where you feel like, all right, look, shit is working for me. Like, this is quote unquote what success is like according to society. I make a lot of money. This is what women want. And so to then give that up, really fucking difficult. But that is actually the thing. Like, we have to ask ourselves, this work that we're doing, and this comes back to what I said, what do we use as the measuring stick here? If we use things improving, things moving forward, etc., as the measuring stick, things getting better, making more money, more this, and now we want to get into a place where we want to clean up all the stuff that's inside of us that's really uncomfortable, then we can't use the same measuring system. It just doesn't work. If we look for results, we're inevitably going to go wrong. We have to look for, I want to be comfortable and authentic with the uncomfortable. That's where we're moving. So it has to get more chaotic. It has to get more uncomfortable, which then looks to most of us like, oh, I'm moving in the wrong direction. Let me rudder back. Right? Wrong direction, man. But in fact, this is the right direction. And that's why most of us are stuck there also with women, because women and life, they work in the exactly same way. So to be good with women, we have to understand life. And this, what we're experiencing right now, these obstacles, the resistance, etc., that is part of life. So we have to understand that deeply. And when we do, we can actually work through it. And then our relationships with women improve. But we cannot go about it the same way that we've done in our careers. Just put our head down, focus, work really hard, control our circumstances, and then get to the outcome. It's not going to work. It's the opposite. It's not control, it's surrender that's going to get us there. And that is, I think, really hard for a lot of guys to grasp because, like you said, it's like their whole life, who they think they are because they're so attached to the identity, that will be like completely torn apart. It will completely break down. And then their whole, like, it literally feels like a death. So obviously, our system, our ego is going to try to avoid that as hard as possible, the sense of identity that we have. It's like, definitely not. No, 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 no. We want to hold on to it because that gives our life some kind of meaning, some kind of like, I know what I'm doing. I'm not completely lost. But that is ultimately an illusion. And if we want to be free, we have to give up that illusion and just say, fuck it. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing, who I am, what this is all about, what real success look like, what I need to learn. I have no fucking clue. That is the best place to be in. And that's why it's so hard for guys that have had some success in life, like let's say in their careers, let's call it, to then let that go because they feel like they have confirmation that what they're doing is the right thing. They already know what's up. And that knowing is the thing that completely gets in the way. That blocks us.
It's funny because one of the tellers of this that you just explained is when the guy says to me, yeah, I heard this before in the past, or yeah, I did that before. That's when I know, okay, yeah, you were in this part. And it's and that's when it comes our work to that is to challenge, that is to show them, okay, no, this, I know you want to avoid this, I know it's uncomfortable, but we need to go there and we push. So our our job, and that's why we titled this as we are never going to live to the expectations of the student, is because our job is not to be a role model that you just look and copy. And then you say, oh, Liu is dating this girl. Oh, he must be good. Yeah. if I learn from him, I'm also going to date this girl. And you don't even like the same type of girl that I like, you know. Or you look, oh, Martin is with this girl, and yeah, if I learn from him, I'm going to be able to do the same things. Or he's like super extroverted, I'm super introverted, but yeah, I want to be just like him because I want to have the same personality that he has. And then you meet him, and then you're like, oh, actually, yeah, he's too extroverted. I don't like it, you know. He's annoying actually in the end. I wouldn't want to be like him, so I prefer to not have any of the results that I could get from having a coach session with him because I don't want to be like him. So they push aside the coach, like, you know, it's kind of like a mimicking thing that they think that they are going to be able to just copycat on everyone.
And it's also one of the reasons why I've chosen, when clients even asked me, and this happened, was like, hey Martin, do you have any infield? Can you show me like how your results are with women? First of all, right now I don't have someone who could film me, and I'm not even interested in doing that. So that's the first thing. The other thing is like, yeah, if you trust me enough that the results that I'm talking about, it's not I'm just making this shit up, right? It's actually happening. Like this one day here, just as a quick example, I went for a walk. I was not feeling good in my body. I had a couple of days where I was feeling intense discomfort coming out of nowhere. And I was like, shit, I don't know like how to deal with it. It was so intense. And so I found some escapes that I was doing, like to get away from it. And this one day, after I was trying to escape and stuff, I went for a little walk around the block. And I was really feeling shitty in my body, super tired too. And I saw this girl and I started talking to her. It naturally evolved the conversation, just a normal conversation. And then we went on a date, and then it unfolded beautifully. And none of it was me trying to force anything. I really was very conscious. I was like, okay, let me just go with the flow, see how this goes. I'm not following any scripts or whatever. I'm just letting this unfold the way it does, and then it does. So when someone asks me like, "Hey, can you film this? What are the types of women you're meeting? How hot are they?" This is again the same thing, like trying to see, does it fit in my box? Is this what I'm looking for? And again, we have different tastes. Like what I'm looking for is different than what you're looking for in a girl, or what a client is looking for in a girl. So we have to just see, is the overarching thing here, is that the same? Are we aligned in that? Is that what I want? Do I want to be free? Do I just want to be care, like not care, be playful? And you said this before, which I found really beautiful, is this playfulness. That is going to come back, almost like a little child exploring life. And that's why I say, in a coach, that's what I want from someone who can show me, who can guide me back to a place where life becomes this thing that I want to explore, all of it. Not to give me the right thing to kind of survive life or to master life. So when I'm 80, I can sit in my fucking rocking chair with my cigar and say, yeah, that was a great life. No, that's not what I want. I want to explore life now, all of it. And I want to be able to have the tools to do that, to not be inhibited by fear all the time, not trying to have to control things and to prevent things and to avoid certain things, certain emotions, certain people. What if we could just embrace all of it? And a coach is there to just lead you there. That doesn't mean there's not going to be any pain. You're going to run into a bunch of walls, but he will guide you through that. Because these walls are fucking required. Can't avoid them. So what if that was really the goal of a coach? Like that would change the whole thing. And to me, that's what I believe at this point, from my own personal experience.
Hmm. And just coming back to this approaching part, not approaching, infield part, like a few things that guys don't realize when watching the videos is first, most of the videos they end and they don't show the next step. It's kind of like a Hollywood movie, you know, and like it ends and it's like, oh, and they were happy ever after because they got married. It's like, bro, there's a whole life after that. So they don't see that most of these interactions go nowhere. They just go nowhere. So the guy gets the phone, and now he finishes the video, and you look at that, it's like, wow, this guy is amazing. And he texts the girl, and she never replies. There's one thing. The other thing is that we can get together with a bunch of our friends. We go to a street, we pump each other up. Our flow level is like right here because everyone is like in this vibe and everyone is vibing. And you can record content for the whole year. just going and do a bunch talking and whatever. After the first one, you get into the state that they call it, and you go and blah 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 blah, and you record a whole video for a lot of people to just watch at home and be like, oh, this guy, yeah, he's the man. I need to be just like him. They don't, they create this fantasy and around that also, this fantasy that there is this place where this guy is always like this, and that you can get to this point where you just get success and you never get rejected. I even heard before like guys saying that I think a real good seductor, I don't know if that's the word, is someone that never gets rejected. And I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. How can someone fits into everyone's idea of what they want in the other person? Like all girls just find this guy super attractive independently. So he's like a chameleon. You know, is this guy that like molds himself to everyone and everyone likes him. And it's like, for me, I never could understood that for some people that is the reality that they think that the coach is, or that person that is teaching them is, but they don't see the rest. But then they come to the workshop, they see it, and they're like, oh, he's a liar. But they see another video from another person, it's like, oh yeah, that's it. And that's why I'm with you. Like I think first, I think when I'm going to do the infields or whatever it is, it's like I'm going because I want to meet someone. I want to be authentic to myself. I don't want to do that because I want to record a video to publish on YouTube to make all the guys, you know, just be like, oh, this man is good, and get my ego boosted because of that. You know, so that's not the goal. And second thing that I never liked that much also is guys who try to show the guys, not some coaches who try to show the interaction by doing some random or super over the top stuff just because it gets attention. It makes people more interested. So they will eat a onion during the date, or they will say something super obnoxious. And for me, it's like there's another person in front of you. Like why you are behaving like that just to show other people or to prove some kind of point, you know? If that's actually your real authentic way of doing that stuff, then yeah, sure, you know, just go do it. Explore your fears of eating a onion in front of someone, yeah. But to do that as a performance to attract people to buy your course, that is the point where I'm like, okay, I understand why you're doing that in a marketing standpoint, but I think if you look at these guys and you think that he's the shit because he's doing this kind of things, that's what this whole video is about. Just go back to beginning and listen to it again if you still think that that's true, because you were expecting something that is not real, or you're basing yourself in something that is not real, and you're also basing someone else and not yourself. So in the end, do you want to build an image of what you want your life to be, or do you want to live this life and play and flow and fuck up and get results and get rejected and say hi and everything that goes with this life?
And that's again the thing, right? Like we want to avoid the pain. Like that's why it's even so attractive to us to see this kind of stuff. Almost like someone can be so out there. This is what initially attracted me to Julian Blanc from RSD. I was like, I felt so timid and shy. I was like, I could never be like this. And it was so out there, so obnoxious that I was like, I was drawn to it like a fucking moth to the streetlights at night. Like it was so intense. And that's why I think it's really fucking important to say, as coaches, we have a huge responsibility. Are we feeding into the narrative that everybody wants to see and we just give them exactly what they want? Because a lot of guys, you know, they say in marketing, like, give them what they want. No, what is it called? Give them what they want, teach them what they need, or something like that, right? Along those lines. And then the question is, can those guys actually teach you what you need? So it's twofold. One, there's the coach. Can he actually give you what you need? Or is it just going to be like, oh, you told me you want dates, so here, this is what you say to the girl. These are the exact steps. Let me give this to you. But it's not actually helping you. And then you also coming in as a client and saying like, I want these things, not realizing you're again blocking yourself from really having deep realizations and change occurring inside of you because you have all the stuff that you bring into the coaching session with you that acts as a wall between you and the information. But as a coach, I think it's a huge responsibility that we have. And it's both, it's a cycle. We feed each other. Clients coming saying, this is what I want, and I need you to give me exactly that. And then the coach saying, all right, let me give you exactly that because I also want to make money. So it's like then a coach has to say, well, fuck all of this. I almost need to show you guys what it really looks like. Here's me getting rejected a ton of. This is like a real day in my life, like a real day. Here's 10 rejections. Here's getting 2 numbers, but these 2 numbers are actually really great later. But look, I had 10 rejections beforehand too. So showing all of it, showing the whole thing through, which is very difficult to do. Because how can you package it all in one video? Like you'd have to film like days, and here's conversations with this woman, and then here's the date, film parts of the date and stuff. But what I can say is this way, the stuff that we're currently focusing on, like really moving into authenticity, and there's a ton of stuff that I'll be sharing more of in the Facebook group exclusively in the future. So if that's interesting to you, there should be a link somewhere down below the video. Like join the Facebook group, there's amazing stuff in there already. But I'll be diving more into that and then really showing what does it really take to be truly free? What does it really take to love unconditionally? What does it really take to be truly at peace? Those are the things we want to set our aim for, not about like, is he getting this particular woman? That's not going to help us. We have different tastes, different things. For you, it's a 9. For the other person, it's a 4. Like that thing is garbage. Like we can't use that. It doesn't make any sense. So we want to get away from that and really say, what do we really want to experience in this life? Like what's the highest thing like that we could possibly experience? And then see, can that person get me closer to that? And what do I, as a client, need to let go of in order to even open myself up to the possibility of that happening?
I think when it comes to dating and the coaches about dating, I think if he makes you stay more here because you're trying to memorize the thing that he's telling you, the lines that he's giving you, the ways of doing stuff that he's teaching you, it's not the right coach, because you want to get out from here and come back to the experience, come back to being alive, to enjoy this life. Because then the things that you just said, it just doesn't matter. She's a 9, she's a 10, she's a 7, she's like this, she's like that, I'm like this, I'm a 9, I'm a 7, oh, I need to go to the gym, I need to do this. It's like all these talks and endless confusion. It's like there's this funny trend where people are like, oh, why do you go to the gym? And there's like a lot of noise, and they put their headphone on and start like working out, and there's like silence. It's kind of like that, but we don't want that just when you are in the gym. It's like the place where you operate from. You are not running away. You are there always there, always present. When it's loud, when it's quiet, when it's comfortable, when it's uncomfortable, when you are afraid, when you're happy, when you're sad. Always here. Nowhere else to go. Other than our Facebook group. Just go join there.
And we can only do that if we stop using everything as a means to an end. Right? Even saying she's a 9, what does that imply? You're grading her for what? For your buddies, for your family, for people to say like, wow, she's really hot. Right? There's always a means to an end. It's not about the woman per se then. It's about something else again. And what we're proposing is, what if we could make everything an end in and of itself? Everything that you do right now, that is just what it's there for. This moment matters. Whether you're taking a shit, whether you're on a date with a beautiful woman, you're kissing her, you're having sex with her, or she rejects you really harshly, all the same thing. It's about this moment. That's all that matters. This moment is valid. And because it's valid, it's required. And that's the only thing, if you really want to feel alive, this is where we need to go. there's nowhere really to go because it's already happening. We just remain anchored in that present moment. That's what we're talking about. That solves all the problems.